Commander Helen stepped into the room 5 minutes late, carrying 2 cups of caf and an expression best described as controlled irritation. The lights had been dimmed for projection clarity, and a rotating planetary wireframe hovered over the table. Dalk 5B, the penal moon colloquially referred to as the vault. 2 officers were already seated. The third intelligence analyst, Tir Vasha, was standing beside the display, sorting through files with theatrical slowness. Helen set the extra cup beside Vasha without comment and took her seat. "Let's get on with it." Vasha nodded. Continuing from yesterday's intercepts, Esshar transmissions, Vault 7, Block Theta. Human prisoners transferred in from Northern Drop. 3 Marines. IDs confirmed. No immediate concern. He flicked his wrist, and the holo shifted to display a translated log summary. Day 1 to Day 6 is mostly routine. No resistance. No incidents. Just unsettling compliance. Lieutenant Ares raised an eyebrow. Unsettling how? They say please and thank you without prompting. They arrange their bunks in perfect symmetry. One of them voluntarily cleaned the corridor. The guards assumed it was submissive behavior. We're fairly confident it was reconnaissance. Commander Helen sipped her caf. They start poking around? Not at first, Vasha said, swiping to Day 7. Here's where it gets interesting. Brief surveillance blackout in Theta. 8 minutes. No sign of tampering. Inmates were seated calmly when video came back. One waved at the camera. Lieutenant Aris narrowed his eyes. Looped the feed? Vasha nodded, or simulated a fault in the observer node. Either way, not subtle, just controlled. Another display flared to life, showing an Esshar footnote report. Next entry, missing maintenance cable from adjacent storage closet. Found coiled neatly in the inmate's cell later. Cut into 38-centimeter lengths. No explanation offered. Just a comment about friendship bracelets. They're mocking them, Helen said. Actively, Vasha agreed. Day 8, one of the Marines impersonates the warden over the intercom. Perfect voice match. Gave fake meal orders. Caused temporary chaos. No one knows how he accessed the speaker system. No confirmed terminal breach. Ares rubbed his forehead. Why aren't the Esshar escalating? Because everything resets afterward, Vasha replied. Guards find odd things. Dislodged panels, moved items. But the prisoners are always right where they should be. Compliant, cooperative, harmless. Helen shook her head slowly. Which makes it worse. Exactly. The log progressed. Day 9, one of them disappears. They find him in the colony's chapel. Door was locked. Surveillance shows no entry. He's seated inside reciting Esshar military rites. He's never been exposed to the texts. Silence settled in the room. Lieutenant Ares shifted in his chair. Another disappears through the ceiling the next morning, Vasha continued. Returns dusty. Says he took a shortcut. The guard writes it up as curiosity. The holo shifted again, revealing a single item scan. A toothbrush, scorched on one end and rigged with what looked like stripped wire. Day 10. They find this in a power junction. When questioned, the prisoner says it's part of a spiritual cleansing ritual. The warden's response is subdued. He logs a personal note suggesting the humans are too comfortable and that they might be waiting for something. But no escalation. No lockdown, just observation. Aris gestured toward the log. So by day 10, he knows they're up to something. Yes, but they haven't actually broken any rules. Not officially. Every incident has a thin layer of plausible innocence. Clever, but not confrontational. They're testing boundaries without crossing lines. Helen leaned forward. And they never ask for anything suspicious? Not really. Day 11. One of them requests a transfer to another block to avoid temptation. Guard asks, what temptation? He says, and I quote, wouldn't you like to know? Helen grunted. That's a yes. They also borrowed the warden's coffee mug. That detail's redacted, but the temperature logs show it was reheated. That required a terminal access code. The officers sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the full absurdity of it. Lieutenant Aris finally said, So we're dealing with prisoners who spend 2 weeks being model inmates, while simultaneously bypassing security, impersonating staff, entering restricted rooms, and rewiring part of the facility with a toothbrush. That is correct. And the Esshar still think they're in control? Vasha shrugged. As of day 12, yes. The warden notes something feels off but says escalation would be disproportionate. He doesn't want to look paranoid or weak. Commander Helen looked at the last file on the list, time-stamped late day 12. It was a private log, voice only, from the warden to an unnamed superior. They're not resisting. That's what worries me. No defiance, no insults, no chaos, just smiles, constant smiles, like they're waiting. I don't know what for, but they know something I don't. Helen exhaled through her nose. They always do. Lieutenant Aris leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. So what's our assessment? Vasha shut off the display. We believe they're not just gathering intel. They're preparing for something, not escape necessarily. Not yet, but movement. And if I had to guess, they're not alone. Commander Helen nodded. Keep tracking the logs. If the Esshar lose track of them, I want to be the first to know. They won't admit it, Vasha said. Not at first. No, Helen said. But they will. Eventually. All right, Commander Helen said, dropping her datapad onto the table with a sigh. Let's talk about the part where they vanished. Vasha didn't bother with ceremony this time. He spun up the main holo, already queued to day 13 of the vault transmissions. The intercepted logs were no longer steady. They were jittery, fragmented, and, at times, panicked. Morning of day 13, Vasha said. Warden initiates routine roll call. Opens theta block. No prisoners. Lieutenant Aris raised an eyebrow. No prisoners as in... As in none, Vasha said. Cells are undisturbed. Bedding folded. Personal effects neatly arranged. Surveillance system is corrupted. No audio, no video. All 3 inmates gone. Helen leaned forward. And the facility's lockdown protocol? Was never triggered, Vasha replied. And here's the best part. Biometric logs show no record of door access. It's like they vanished, without tripping a single alarm. The holo displayed a shaky internal transmission. It was a voice recording, Warden Ralvesh, directly addressing Esshar High Command. Block Theta is empty. I repeat, all 3 human subjects are missing. Surveillance is compromised. No signs of forced exit. I don't know how this happened. The hallway guards report nothing unusual. One of them claims he heard whistling. Vasha paused the clip. Whistling, Aris repeated blankly. Confirmed, Vasha said. Tune matched to an ancient human ditty about lemonade. The next transmission was less composed. The warden was moving while speaking, breath short and tone sharp. Vault Shuttle Bay 3 is empty. That's my shuttle! It's gone! I didn't authorize launch. Clearance codes are mine, but I never input them. They shouldn't have been able to... A pause. They took my shuttle! Another pause. They took the Admiral, my shuttle, and possibly my chair. Aris blinked. Chair? We're still unclear, Vasha said. But the command throne in his personal quarters was missing, along with a half-used roll of ration foil and 1 boot. Helen rested her forehead in one hand, eyes closed. Please tell me we have external confirmation. Vasha tapped the display again. The Esshar command network had gone into full lockdown 30 minutes after the vault's alarm was finally raised. But by then, GC long-range scanners had already pinged an inbound vessel on a ghost route through the Perseus Gap. Esshar shuttle signature, forged transponder ID, 0 GC registry. The ship docked at Bastion Holdout Fleet 6 hours later, and when the airlock opened, Admiral Reyes stepped out. Not human, not bruised, and not talking. The GC Admiral, a senior strategic officer from the Jalari caste, presumed captured by Esshar operatives during a covert transport in the Sable Corridor, had been missing for 32 days. His retrieval had not been anticipated. No rescue mission was authorized. He had vanished without a trace into Esshar custody, presumably for interrogation. Now, he was standing in the docking bay, dusting off his coat and asking for coffee. Where is he now? Helen asked. Fleet Lounge. Booth 4, Vasha replied. Drinking caf, extra synth cream. Says he's not ready to talk about it unless someone brings him a cinnamon roll. The door to briefing room 3 hissed open. Not an alarm. Not even a formal chime. Just a clean, casual slide. Everyone turned. A woman entered, human, late 30s, civilian attire, coffee in one hand, standard-issue data chip in the other. Her lanyard was flipped backward, unreadable, but her clearance was obvious in the way no one stopped her. She set the chip down on the table in front of Helen. You can stop decrypting the Esshar logs now. Helen stared at her. Excuse me? That was us, the liaison said, sipping casually. Admiral Reyes was taken a month ago. We sent a team to get him back. No special weapons, no fleet support. Just 3 Marines, a stolen satellite feed, and a week's worth of prep. He's back now. No one spoke. The liaison gestured toward the chip. Enjoy the footage. There's a pretty good moment with the toothbrush. She turned to leave. Wait, Aris said, half standing. You're saying that was sanctioned? The liaison gestured toward the chip. Enjoy the footage. There's a pretty good moment with the toothbrush, she said, with the faintest twitch of a smirk. She turned to leave. Wait, Aris said, half standing. You're saying that mess was sanctioned? She paused at the door. Unofficially? Sanctioned by circumstance. Officially? She tapped the chip. Minimal assets. 0 losses. Admiral retrieved. That's all that matters. The door slid shut behind her. Silence. Vasha, still silent, inserted the chip into the table's input port. The room dimmed. The footage began. Helmet cam, lead marine. High definition. Clean audio. Block Theta, post lights out. 1 Marine climbs into the ceiling while another hums casually to mask the sound. A 4th presence, Admiral Reyes, unmistakable, sits calmly on the bunk, watching the ceiling panel descend with quiet amusement. Another clip showed 872B rerouting a hallway force field using a stolen stylus and packaging from a snack ration labeled Tangy Crunch Globules. Another clip was simply labeled Rendezvous, Shuttle Launch. It showed all 3 Marines and Admiral Reyes boarding the warden's private shuttle, complete with lounge seating and a mirrored minibar. They wave at the exterior security camera as the hatch closes. The final file on the chip was a still image. The 3 Marines, Admiral Reyes, and the stolen Esshar shuttle in the background, all smiling. The caption read, Mission complete. Minimal resistance. Excellent view. 1010 would escape again. Helen sat back, slowly rubbing her temples. Vasha cleared his throat. Recommendation, classify under Operation Backlatch. Flag is non-actionable. Debrief optional. And... He hesitated. Yes? Helen prompted. Add a new protocol to the Human Observation Handbook. Helen nodded wearily. Let me guess. Vasha read it verbatim from the memo he'd already queued. If humans are polite and quiet for more than 48 hours, assume an operation is in progress.
Want more GC madness? Pick up the book. Tales from the GC is packed with stories you won't find anywhere else. Available on Amazon right now on Kindle and paperback. The link is in the description.